you. Oh, I forgot. Just a moment. Get the word out, and then we will get fired up. And welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I'm your host, Kalari GXC, and we have a lot to talk about today. Let me get this tweet fired off just in case the chat wants to join up. All right. So, yeah, Friday I took some time off. I was feeling the combo of fatigue and body pain, and I just did not have it in me. I was going to tape a mental health vlog too, and my brain was just like, you know what? Save your energy because you definitely have a lot that you want to talk about today, and you don't want to be low battery. So I rested, and I'm grateful for the rest, and I'm grateful for everybody who allowed me time to just recuperate. But it's been a frustrating few days, hasn't it? I cannot believe all the stuff that's gone on. And obviously, the biggest story is what happened to Speaker Pelosi's husband. And it screams to a lot of what I'm going to talk about today because there's so many points that could be made. But it's fairly clear. The lines have been drawn. You know what side you're on at this point in the game. We are 7 days away from the midterm elections. I don't want to hear it anymore. The GOP is openly mocking an 87-year-old man being attacked in his own home by a degenerate who legitimately baked his brain on conspiracy theories and hate. This is what we are trying to convince everybody who wants to convince me that they're my ally, that we have to stop ignoring this. This problem has been ongoing for years now. And the internet, instead of just exposing it so that we can tackle it, has made it worse, has given them havens. And because they feel justified in believing their conspiracy theories and believing that they should uphold their whiteness over everything else, those of us who just want to live our own decent life, those of us that don't fit into the neat package of whatever idealism they have, we're stuck struggling. And it's got to stop. And what bothers me about this attack on Mr. Pelosi was the jokes, the way the GOP, as it's been put here, Kari Lake, who I can't even believe she's a serious candidate, she's a piece of shit, thought it was funny to mock the fact that this man who was in his house, he didn't do anything wrong, minded his own business, gets attacked by a psycho with a hammer who had a whole ass plot to not only kidnap his wife, but to do bodily harm to her so that he could prove a point. And when you unpack the reasons why this lunatic thought that he was justified in doing that, you see the microcosm of what's wrong with the other side point blank. Spoiled toddlers that have not been told no by society enough, that center themselves in everything and cannot take when things don't go their way. I'm sick of it. Point blank, we have allowed these people to run the narrative into the ground. And now they are angry, stupid, and violent, and they go on and they do shit like this. Or they decide to get a gun and they take lives. Or they decide to take it out on their families. Several stories of people just snapping and killing their families have been in the news. And you got attacks like this, school shootings, and it's like, this has got to stop. This is beyond just a mental health issue. This is a societal condoning of entitlement that has tipped us over the edge, tipped us over the breaking point. And then you couple it with the legal stuff that they're trying to ram down our throats to make sure that the power grab of white supremacy never loses its tight grip, and we have to be the ones to stop it. You have our Supreme Court debating affirmative action. And the people most pressing against affirmative action are the fuckers that benefit from it. Looking at you, white women. I know some of you don't want to hear, oh, I've struggled. You can't say white women, not me. If you are not a white woman that is college educated or have privilege, you need to stay out of my face about what you don't got, because the majority of your demographic benefits from privilege, whether you want to see it or not. You benefit from a society that gives you the benefit of the doubt because of your white skin. And yes, you might have the unfair burden of not having a lot of money under your name because classism is your struggle. But when you pair that against the fact that there are so many of us struggling with societal bigotry that keeps us from being educated, keeps us from having even a little bit sometimes. You redline our fucking neighborhood. You make our value less than to dehumanize us. And then you get the things that were set to help us get ahead, but you don't want us to benefit from it. And you would rather burn that bridge down so that nobody else can cross it. And it's very frustrating. Welcome to the chat, respect. And to have our Supreme Court debating on whether or not affirmative action should be mandated for colleges and universities, and having people weigh in on, well, we should send our kids to more HBCUs, which would be lovely. But funding for HBCUs has been abysmal. Accreditation for some of them has been not great. And we honestly need to make sure that all universities are properly funded, properly accredited, and taking care of our kids' needs. We need to become a society less banked on showing off. But we're not there yet. Because it's still more prestigious to say, I went to Harvard or Yale, even though I'm dumb as a fucking brick. Look at fucking 45. He went to Wharton. Wharton is supposed to be one of the best business schools in the world. You've seen that man. He's bankrupt casinos twice. So we need to get away from the whole idea that prestige makes you better. We need to get away point blank from the whole idea that decency is bad, but getting that power is the best thing. Showing off for others is the best thing, because that is why so many white people refuse to give up that illusionary place in life. Even though they're miserable, even though they lash out, even though they are violent and angry, because they know that this shit is illusionary. They know that place of theirs is shaky. They know that given the equal ground, anybody can have a chance at succeeding and being okay. I'm going to show you this nonsense that really set me off today, because I couldn't believe seeing this. And I should, because this sentiment was expressed by several other people. And I'm glad my friend countered them with what they said up top. But this woman legitimately said, I'm a big Obama fan. But what people forget is his intelligence and way of speaking made a lot of low education, working class white folks feel stupid and inferior. And it came across as smug and dismissive of them. And that's why we're paying for it today. And my brain goes, so we're not allowed to be smarter. We're not allowed to be decent leaders. We're not allowed to utilize the education that we have to fucking strive for to be better. Because that makes you feel bad. And instead of you deciding, well, I feel bad, I should pick myself up. I should make my life better. I should do better. I shouldn't feel jealous that this man who worked his ass off to get where he got is better than me. But you're seeing his black skin more than anything else as a threat to who you are as a demographic even. And you lashed out. And to say that you're a fan of somebody, but they're too Negro for you? What even is that? How do you even justify calling yourself a fan of Barack Obama, but saying that his blackness is a problem? You're not a fan there. You're just another person who thought he was going to be your magical Negro, and that is a problem with our society. People don't want to call it out. People want to go, oh, but I'm your ally. You're not my ally if you thought that you could legitimately justify why people want to be ignorant against the fact that black people, we are educated, we are eloquent, we are able to lead, and we deserve a rightful place in our government alongside all of you. And we are far from the only demographic out there that deserves a rightful say and voice within our congressional and judicial and other lines of government. But the problem is America was sold on that weird notion that the only way to be America is to be white and have that weird 1950s style look and that normalcy, which was anything but normal. And because you've been sold that illusionary whiteness that it's ridiculous. And exactly, respect. Herschel Walker is a prime example of the way they want black leadership. Ignorant mules who can be told what to do. I seen that video of that pastor who read Herschel Walker for filth, and I am so glad that he said the thing. That man, since he was 16 years old, has been being told what to do by white men. And that's all they want for him. That is all they've ever wanted, was a black body that they can puppet around. It's just like being owned by slave masters again. And the saddest thing is, Georgia could very well put that man in that position. I need my cousins, if you're down there and you haven't early voted, which I know a lot of you did, thank you very much. But if you are listening to me right now, don't fucking listen to assholes like Killer Mike who think, I'm going to be all right anyway because I'm a millionaire. Listen to the fact that you are losing hospitals at an alarming pace, that your black skin isn't enough for you to be treated like a fair and equal citizen, that your white skin, depending on how much income you make, isn't enough. And stop electing assholes like Kemp to run your state into the fucking ground. You have an amazing senator in Ralph Warnock, coupled with John Ossoff, doing the thing for your state. Give them a governor like Stacey Abrams and let's raise Georgia up. I am so sick and tired of people thinking that black men are intimidating, and the only way a black man cannot be intimidated is if he does everything we say. Herschel Walker is the epitome of somebody you don't want leading you anywhere. He's abusive, he's an idiot, and he lies. He'll lie right to your face. He'll talk about family values when he's got 4 fucking kids that we know about, the ones he didn't get aborted. He's got a non-existent relationship with anybody he doesn't find useful. And like I say, he might as well have a stick up his ass for the puppetry that's being done by the GOP for him. Because for them, it's any blackface. They don't give a fuck if this person actually wants to do right by the state. They just need somebody who will say yes to whatever they want to push, whatever agenda they need to push. And we cannot afford that anymore because their agenda has been clear. They are eradicating our rights. They call it cutesy names like affirmative action, but the reality of it is all about keeping the lines of equality separate, keeping us divided and fighting over little conflicts so that equity and equality is never a thing amongst our people. And while you think, well, Tin, who benefits from that? That can't be good for humanity. It's not good for humanity. But some people who have that illusion of power, who already think they have theirs, but they need to protect it, or they don't have theirs yet, but they can keep others from getting in the way of theirs. The whole illusion of having more than others and being perceived better than others is way too lucrative. It's why I called this The Price of Humanity Has People in Overdraft. Because being decent seems to be like a revolutionary act now. Treating people with respect, even if you don't understand their lifestyle, even if you don't understand how they live, seems to be foreign concept to so many people, but especially a certain demographic who has to be centered all the time, who wants to dictate what normal is, who set up the boundaries of both race and class in the first fucking place, but then gets upset because most of them are poor and ignorant anyway. And then you invent something like the internet, which should have brought us all together, shown us how big, beautiful, and worth protecting our world is, and instead we just fight more. And we fight online. And we find ways to argue with each other on social media, and we implode because egos and being right is more important than actually being right. And that's the problem with humanity. But when you couple that with a society that has never told a certain demographic that y'all need to stop, this world isn't about you, that we need to stop acting like everything you say and do is golden, because you've proven time and time again how depraved and demoralized you can be, how easily you jump into whatever fascist leader tells you what to do. Yeah, you just want to tell us that we're low information. You literally let a man who said, I grab women by the you know what, into our White House. A man who mocked disabled people, a man who legitimately has never done anything successful in his life except for con people into believing he was more of a success than he was. And you let this fucker into our White House for 4 years while he stole secrets, traded them out, while he probably stole other not public property, government property, while he downplayed the pandemic, which took the lives of my family and friends. So no, I cannot trust yous who continuously go overdrafting your decency to be in charge. And with 7 days out, I'm not holding my breath on how many of yous are really going to get it right. Because like I said, y'all have been playing the cutesy shit all summer, talking about, oh, it's going to be a Rovember. But we warned yous back in 2016 what was at stake. We told yous what they were going after, and you told us, oh, you're being hyperbolic. There's no way the Supreme Court will go after Dobbs. There's no way they'll repeal things. And I don't like being right about bad stuff. I would love to be right about positive stuff for once. I would love to actually be I feel like the only reason why I'm even being positive and joyful is because it's a fucking act of revolution against everybody who wants to constantly make things negative, constantly make things bad. But I feel like if I keep pushing along with other people, we can get wins. But it's not going to come without a fight because we are stuck between really selfish, fanatical fuckers who don't care about giving up their rights because they think they'll be protected, even though they are the people that are most abused, most destroyed in fanaticism, and the apathetic ignorant who think, well, things are always bad, so what can I do? And those of us who are pragmatic, who have been doing the thing for years now, have been tired. But we know we can't give up because we are the only ones that got this. And what drives me up a wall is how many people want to justify their bigotry. Justify why, oh, I liked Barack Obama, but the moment you have to say a but, the moment you have to give excuses to white people's ignorance and white people's open-faced bigotry, I can't with you. Because you're the same person that put a rainbow flag emoji in your name, swear up and down that you're an ally, but you're anything but. Because your whiteness will always be more important than anything else. And you can't stand when people like me call you out, but what else can we say? My friend was really succinct with the clapback to their nonsense. And I think it's on point. She said, so you're saying that white people, the superior master race, felt inferior and stupid because they recognized this black man was smarter and superior to them. So they turned to the white racist GOP candidate who made them feel good for being white? Is that what you're saying? And point blank, when you think about it, when you really unpack what this person was putting out there about former President Obama versus that turd of 45, if you're a white person and this doesn't infuriate you, that insinuation that you have to go and embrace racism to feel better as a person, then you and I can't be allies because it should make you mad. It should make you upset that anybody white would dare speak for all of yous like that and blanket yous. I know as a black person, I hate being monolith. We're going to get to a main reason why in a few minutes. But the fact is, too many white people just go with the flow with being, well, I know I don't do racist things, so I don't mind the racism, you know, it's not me, or, you know, as long as people nod all and pat me on the head, I don't want to think about the implications or the fallout. And it's like, no, it's not good enough anymore, because a lot of yous who think you're not racist think like this motherfucker right here. Think like this person who thinks Obama was just too uppity and well-spoken for me. If he had been a little bit slower and put on a little dumb Negro act a little bit more, it would have been better for me. And it's like, you know, y'all can't have it both ways, because we literally couldn't have elected somebody less than. That's just the reality of the situation. Everything we've had to do, and I remember growing up as a kid, being told, You've got to do certain things this way because the world looks at you differently. You got to get better grades. You've got to do better. The pressures of that will fuck your mind up. But it's the reality growing up black. If you half-ass, life will pay you back in spades for that. So you have to be top of your game. And if you're not, you're going to fall to the wayside. That is just the reality because you have already society stacked against you and that added slice of bigotry as an added slap in the face. So when we climb that ladder and get to that top, that is due to us not only pushing, not only being able to navigate the tight, rigid social structures, but being smart enough. And it is infuriating and insulting that you want one of us to lower and lessen ourselves to make you feel better as a person. And that is the problem with white privilege right there. The fact that you can't elevate yourself. You don't think that it's on you to make yourself smarter in a fucking digital age where you have no excuse. Instead, your thing is to lash out, be angry at the fact that this man who literally had to deal with a single parent, being biracial in an already racially divided America, because need I remind you, Barack Obama grew up in the early 60s and 70s. He grew up in a nation that barely wanted to acknowledge civil rights. And he still worked his ass off. Not only in law, but in politics because he wanted to make a difference. And how did this nation repay him after he gave them 8 good years of his life? Y'all replaced him with fucking 45. A literal fascist turd who caused death, destruction, and chaos globally. Because, oh, Obama talked too nice for you. You can't make this shit make sense. And as a black woman, and as the mother of a biracial son, as somebody who I'm raising my son to be black, because that was a topic that came up too. It was something I was going to talk about on Friday. Because it really is. A lot of racial stuff has been going on especially social media, thanks to now Elon Musk owning it. That's been great. Trying to find a new place to hang out too, y'all. Don't worry. I have a feeling it's coming. But when you've got so many people wanting to weigh in on race and talk about race, and then you got the bigots weighing in, it is always a mess. And those who just want to figure out where they stand in this, those of you who want to be decent but are afraid because you've never had to be, because you don't understand what it's like to finally get that the world doesn't revolve around you, and that if you want to join the rest of us, you're going to have to be decent. You're going to have to shed that societal privilege and join the rest of us in calling out this fuckery. It's not easy though. And I can understand why so many of you would rather instead embrace the lies, embrace the conspiracy theories, hear how you're special even though you don't do anything, lose your privilege if you're a white woman because he'll take care of you until you're too old and you're giving him enough kids and then he can replace you with the younger girl that he's been lusting after. Our society has been fucked up for a while, but when you see the constant patterns and cycles that some of you indulge in, because that illusion of power and control is more important to you than our society actually being structurally better, our world being taken care of, it is exhausting and infuriating. There are way too many people in this world right now, and way too many angry, purposeless, soulless people who are struggling unnecessarily, who vie for things like wealth and power and fame, which is nothing but an abyss that you're going to keep chasing, but people still chase it because it's the only way to feel important, because our society structured itself on feeling important over actually having true senses of purpose. And then when somebody finds something that they want to do with their life, that they love to do, whether it's a scientific mind or a knowledge mind or just wants to create stuff, instead of being the society that's like, okay, that's what you want to do, let's gear you towards it, it's like, nah, we have enough of you. We need to make sure that somebody who's already well-to-do and wealthy, who might not even really be into this, has a better shot than you because they earned it. Their family had money. and they were born into it, and they don't really show any other aptitude besides that. But we've set this weird structure of classism, so we have to honor that. And it's like, this is why society is so angry and fucked up. This is why people rush towards escaping like mad towards alcohol and drugs, because what else do they have going for them? When you have a dream as a child and then that's snuffed out because your family doesn't make enough, or you don't have enough connections because our stupid ass society continues that all so ridiculous structural ladder of, oh, you got to climb your way to the top. Ignore the fact that you're going to hit your head a lot and get a lot of damage on the way. Ignore the fact that we'll structure your schools and your code around your county to have less resources, so that you're not as educated as a person who only claim is to have been born to people who made enough money. Our society is so messed up, and we've just allowed this to continue to be. And what's worse is you see how bad it is when these people are in charge. You see how bad it is when they dehumanize people that don't look or act or worship like them. You call it out on Twitter for hearts and likes. But when push comes to shove and we ask you to do the thing that could keep these fuckers out of power, you don't turn out. And now you've got 7 days from now to prove me wrong. Prove to me that that Hail Mary pass that McConnell thought he was doing with Dobbs is going to be their last hurrah. Because 45 should have been it for the Conservative Party. 45 should have been the death knell for Republicans. Yet these fuckers are literally on the campaign trail mocking an 87-year-old victim of an assault by one of their own. That man was one of their conspiracy swilling, right-wing waving, motherfucking nonsense bringing assholes. I can't even think. It makes me angry to think, because people know me. I'm a grandma and grandpa's girl. My grandparents meant the world to me. And keeping them safe and protected was one of the things that most kids in my culture grew up doing. So I can't even imagine having my elder at home, having some nut job break into their home and attack them with a hammer. All because they continuously ingest nothing but garbage and hate and bile, and they think, well, stop the steal. Or we didn't lose the election. It was all a conspiracy theory by the Democrats, and this is the bullshit that they ingest constantly. And it's fueled by asshole propaganda in places like Fox News, Breitbart, and other fucking right-wing propaganda. And now that Elon Musk owns Twitter, it won't be long before that shit is freely pushed on there like it's free speech. And it's tiring. And I don't know how much more voices like mine will even be heard. It's infuriating too, because we know it's lies. Y'all know it's lies. You look at the states where assholes like Kemp, DeSantis, Abbott are running into the ground. And you know that the people there don't deserve that. Even the ones that full on vote for it. But you can only tell people so much that you got to stop falling for the okie doke. These men don't care about you. Look at that Mississippi. Under that fucking, he looked like I'm trying to think of the character from the Family Circus. Billy Keane with ruddy cheeks and glasses, basically. The dirty water in Jackson is on him. And you know what happened when we had that here in Michigan? Looking at you, Flint, and it's not a perfect situation before somebody tries to ding me on that. But we got rid of that motherfucker. The same thing happened in North Carolina when McCrory thought, I'm going to go after the LGBT, but mostly the T, with a guaranteed hate bill that will teach them transgender people not to be in my state. And all it taught was, you can be replaced because you lost the state millions with your bigotry. We have to stop electing bigots to run us into the ground. And don't act like apathy doesn't lead to that. Look at fucking Virginia. Youngkin is a fucking idiot who gets yelled at whenever he's in public now. He's so worried about CRT and invisible black boogeymen that he doesn't care that his state has gone down in both lucrativity and prosperity, where it used to be one of the states that you would shoot to move to. But nobody wants to move to a state run by a fucking MAGA. Nobody needs that stress. Why move someplace where you might get lynched? And Charlottesville was already painful enough for that state. To have a whole ass governor that just inspires that kind of rhetoric is sickening. And Virginia, you need to do better. All of our states need to do better, because need I remind you, there is no such thing as a safe blue state. There's no such thing as a total blue state. Just like there is no such thing as a safe red state, because it works the other way. Christopher Boozy made so many good points today about Kansas not being one off, Alaska not being one off. People are tired, fed up, and we vote. And all we need is more people like us to turn out in ways that cannot be countered. Because they'll try. They'll whine and say, oh, something wasn't right. Oh, we need to check the election stuff. But what they won't be able to do is stop us if we turn out. Now, early voting has looked really good for Dems, but that doesn't mean we cannot afford, for those of you who haven't turned out yet, those of you supposedly waiting for election day, to turn out. Those of you independents who just don't know yet, who haven't gotten the message that fascism is bad. We need all hands on deck. I'm not even angry anymore. I am just so exhausted with constantly having to remind people to be decent. It is the highest level of currency now. It is the biggest act of defiance. I'm telling you, as somebody who grew up nihilistic, who grew up legitimately an introvert grump, you can still hate the world and think everything's shit and want this world to keep on going. You can be that walking contradiction. But what you can't be is one of those people that try to embrace fascism and then convince me you're my ally. Or like this idiot who'll try to say, oh, I'm a fan of black people. You just can't make me feel dumb for not trying to apply myself or make my life better. I like educated black people as long as they don't remind me that they're educated. Because you're the same people who will allow somebody like Herschel Walker to ascend to a position of power, because that's what you expect out of black people like us. And it's hurtful. And the same part about all of this, with 7 days coming out, is that in a normal society, somebody like Herschel Walker would have been told to retire. He wouldn't have made it out of the primaries. But we are in the dark ages of virility, where it doesn't matter how scandalous or disgusting somebody is. All that matters is if people know their name. And it's why what's been going on with Kanye West has been so troubling. Not just his anti-Semitism, which is disgusting, because if you pair that with his misogyny, if you pair that with his violent threats, if you pair that with his anti-blackness, you wouldn't be surprised. The man has made his whole career being a fucking walking mess. A mess that idolized things like suicide and everything else. If you follow Kanye for any amount of time, you've seen a very troubled, problematic man. Yet all of a sudden, now that he has messed up several bags, now that he will no longer be in the billionaires club the way he hemorrhages and spends money, all of a sudden he wants to be black again. Showing pictures of himself next to George Floyd and Emmett Till. It's like, no, brother man. Emmett Till was destroyed as a child by hate. The motherfucker who caused it, she's still alive and free. Living her own little racist granny life. They don't think she should be prosecuted because of her age, yet you've arrested our children. You have thrown black grandmothers in jail, but okay. George Floyd broke me last year. No, it was 2 years ago. Everything has been a blur the last 2 years. But 2 years ago, I had to fucking legitimately make a Stop Killing Us video because of how painful it was seeing that over and over, knowing that We were watching the last few moments of his life and that defiant look of his murderer because he thought he was going to get away with it. And basically, if you look at that fucking light ass sentence, but at least he got convicted. So when you think on that level of the loss of both the Till family, the Floyd family, and then you think about Kanye, who's a narcissistic asshole, daring to put himself on that level because your big bigoted mouth lost your bag, it is infuriating. You could have been a decent person. You had every opportunity to be a decent person. You have made billions. So many people will never say that in their life. No matter how hard they try, no matter what they bring to this world, they will never achieve that pinnacle, and you did it. And instead of doing the right thing by this world, by your blackness, which you want to claim now all of a sudden that you're persona non grata again, you turned your back on us. You married a Kardashian who dumped you the moment she could, and you treated us like shit. And black community, I am begging you, don't open your arms to this man. He doesn't give a fuck about us. He doesn't give a fuck about anybody but Ye, and Ye needs to have his own back because I'm done. I've been done. I was done with him when Mr. I don't like to read. It's like your mom was a literary professor. What is wrong with you? You legitimately studied in Japan. I don't understand the path that he's on, but I am not going to support it. And we as a community need to stop lifting up these abusive brother men who only want to worry about their ends. They don't give a fuck about our community. He literally made a school that was a fucking cult and then just shut it down on a whim. Because to Kanye, it doesn't matter what these kids are going through. It was never about helping the kids. It was about his ego. Oh, I'm going to do whatever I want. If LeBron James opened schools, yeah, those schools are still highly functioning and doing right. But he's far from the only. I found out earlier today that there are schools that were opened by Dr. Dre and other people that are like hemorrhaging funds. Why are all these so-called famous people doing this shit? If you're going to do something like that, you can't half-ass it. Kids' whole lives are on the line by the amount of education or lack thereof they get. That prison, the pipeline thing is the reason. Because we don't invest enough in our schools. We don't invest enough in targeted learning and education. We don't put schools out there that will help our kids at the pace they need. But yet a famous person can just open up a school and people will still send their kids there. It doesn't matter if they're actually getting a decent education. It doesn't matter if they're being taken care of. And this fucker was going to charge people 15 grand a year to indoctrinate their kids in his nonsense. So we, the black delegation, need to cut Kanye. He needs to be done. I'm sorry. Yeah, you had a good run. Yeah, some of your music will always give me nostalgia, but I can't, brother, man. You've did it. And this, for me, I was done before the anti-Semitic stuff. But if I didn't need anything in my life, it is you trying to come back being black all of a sudden after your ass literally said slavery was a choice. You are toxic. You're not good for our community. And sadly, I know some people will open their arms because they just want clout chasing is a thing. Riding your dick is a thing. Good luck to all of you, because with a toxic narcissist, you will just be abused and discarded. Ask him. She knows firsthand. I think the most infuriating thing about the Kanye West situation is how avoidable all of this was. If he had just had more people who claim to be his friend, that claim to be strong, stand up to him. And I know being with somebody, because my family, we're all bipolar. We're all very manic. Very aggressive when we get upset. I don't make no apologies for it. That's just how I am. I calm my fucking ass down, though. And finding a partner that not only was able to say, hey, Ten, calm the fuck down. I love you, but calm down is important. Having somebody that helps ground you, because I'm a writer. I spend a lot more time in my head than I care to really admit. A lot of times developing ideas, lost in thought, head in a book sometimes, doing research and stuff. So having somebody that helps understand who you are and keeps you grounded is important. Kanye does not have that. He has people around him that want to either utilize him or get stuff out of him. But he does not have anybody that sees him as a person. And that is sad. But that's on him. Because if you had true friends, you wouldn't be acting like this. I don't know what's going on in that head of yours, but you're not going to like the outcome, because white people will remind you of your supposed place in society. And black people can only give so much comfort. It's just tiring that it takes them fully rejecting all the bigotry that you thought that you could spew for them, for you to realize that they will never see you as one of them, for real. Oh yeah, it was cutesy when they were buying your shoes, and now they're burning it on TikTok for clout. How's that getting you? All those people that were your fans at first. Because it's a fickle thing. Chasing popularity. Oh my God, I heard about that too. The fact that he bought Parler, because social media wars is going to be a thing. It's going to be hilarious. And I'm hoping that the new thing that Jack is supposedly developing, rumors at this point, but it could be a thing, is way better and ends up being where we all end up. But even if it doesn't, there are going to be social media wars. Why? Because I wanted to get to this on Friday. Because there's been a lot of cynical people going, well, Elon Musk traded down buying Twitter. Why would he waste billions on Twitter? Because social media, especially social media like Twitter, is fucking lucrative. And it's only idiots at this point that don't realize the amount of money in just farm-end data. The amount of money in knowing how to customize and cater ads to people. The amount of people who put all their fucking business and actually form businesses on Twitter. I grew my own brand and business on Twitter. So I know how lucrative social networking can be. But when you add the fact that everything we put out there, whether it's shit we look up, whether it's stuff that we're into, is farmable data, I don't understand the people that don't realize that if Elon Musk was smarter, instead of trying to push this as a free speech bastion, he would just do what Facebook failed to do and collect as much data as he could so that no matter what happens, he is the king of the algorithm. But a lot of these tech bros and business bros are one and the same. You can really sway them with a bunch of buzzwords. That's why fucking Zuckerberg has lost fucking almost $1 billion in his metaverse, because he let people go, Facebook is old. Let's make everything cartoony. Let's forget that the people that are into that kind of graphics already have a ton of MMOs to play. People will love Meta. And you get like 38 people on a regular in your place that used to house millions of people sharing their opinions. And now with Twitter, I know the exodus won't be swift, because most of us have been on that site for over 10 years now, but it's gonna happen. And not because we want it to. If I had it my way, Twitter would be around forever. But sadly, the power in us being able to organize, group up, the spaces that we have created to keep people informed has been detriment to people who want us to fall face first into fascism. They knew the way to control the masses is to control the way we interact with one another. And these attacks on places that we gather, like Twitter, isn't a shock to me. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And that's why if you have any form of social content, instead of wasting the last few days that we may have on this dying app, arguing with each other over I don't like the taste of this candy, or I think that this person said something to me that I wasn't sure because my reading comprehension is bad, but I need to block them and everybody that looks like them. Instead of wasting your energy trying to figure out who you're going to fight, utilize your ability to spread actual facts for information. Make sure that you voted. If you haven't already, make sure you have your plan for November 8th and keep your focus. Because the thing that brought us all together on Twitter was our ability to find one another, to keep each other informed, to share information. And we shouldn't lose that. Plenty of us have Discords now. I will start putting that link. I think that's one of the Nightbot links that isn't working, sadly, but I will get that fixed. We have ways to meet up. A lot of us will continue on. But when I say it sucks to see someplace it was like Cheers for us. Everybody knows your name. We go every day, we log in, we share daily ideas and tidbits, share news stories here and abroad. To lose a hubbub like that will suck. But if Elon wants to play dirty, we need to make it where it's not so lucrative for him. Make less people to data mine and farm. Give him less entertaining things to show the investors and say, see, this place is still cool. Everybody hangs out here. Now let me hawk my fake Bitcoin at them. Because if you don't think that shit's coming, that's why so many of his fans were salivating about him buying Twitter. They want a captive audience to whatever fucking huckster juice they want to sell the people, and I'm not down for that either. I don't give a fuck about bigots. I've had most of them in my block bin for a while now. And unless one of the features that Twitter safety was worried about gets put into play where people could still message and bother you, even if they're blocked, I'm not worried about bigots. I've been handling bigots for the last 10 years now. I don't let them get under my skin, and I piss them off because a lot of times I just subtweet their asses. I learned how to Twitter a long time ago. Bigots don't bother me. Welcome to the chat, Terry Antico. But for those of you who are worried about, the amount of M-word has been raising and there are a lot of hate. If you're seeing that on your timeline, that's a you problem. One of the things I learned early on was if I don't follow a person back, they can't bother me, which I love. Even if they send me mail, which I know some people have DM'd me, violent, sexual, dumb shit, I don't see it. It goes into a bin. I probably have a whole horde of stupid shit. I don't see it. Don't bother me. When you develop that attitude on Twitter, it makes navigating it so much easier because when I dodge that nonsense, I also have to navigate around my friends who are constantly fighting each other. So even though I'm going to miss aspects of Twitter, some of y'all have made it where it's like, well, if it's over, it's over. At least I won't have to navigate and referee two idiots fighting each other over stupid stuff anymore. And don't think I haven't seen the latest argument over PA. I know a lot of us have strong opinions about the Fetterman situation, and a lot of us black people weren't happy about it. A lot of us black people took sides. I know that I was openly vocal for Conor Lamb, and now I'm seeing how I was wrong about that. It was just my opinion. And I'm sorry. I feel how I feel. I feel like Kenyatta is a strong voice, but he's still a bit too green for me. I did not feel as strongly for him. And to hear, he's supporting Fetterman more and he's doing the work. He needs to get his name out there. This is a strategic thing for him too. And I'm glad that he decided to do that because in politics, keeping your name relevant, showing that you're a team player works more for your advantage. But to act like Lamb he had a job to do. He didn't just quit his other job. And it's just infuriating to me the way people are acting like, well, he was supposed to go and kiss Fetterman's butt too. Y'all should have turned out. Because I still don't believe that man who had more energy to pull a gun on people will be good for your state, but there's not much we can do. And I, for my friend's memory, want to keep that state out of Oz's hands. But if I'm not allowed to have my opinion on things, yet y'all can weigh in on politics in my state. We all weigh in on Florida politics, Texas politics. That's just what politics is. My opinion shouldn't hurt your feelings. I'm not personally attacking anybody by saying that I would have supported Lamb. Yet some people acted like me saying that was me calling y'all stupid or something. It's like y'all are reading way too much into this. Unless I've directly, and I am that kind of person, told you to your face that I feel you're stupid, don't make words that I didn't say. Because I'm really sick of that shit on social media. That's another thing that I won't miss about Twitter's nonsense. If and when it decides to implode from the egotistical buyout. But the problem with social media and politics right now is too many people with too many hurt feelings are running around instead of focusing on what's important. My support for a certain candidate doesn't mean you can't support who you want. Why is it that I have to respect the fact that you like such and such over such and such? This shit is getting old. Whatever happened to you like this person, I like this person, we're all on the same goal of protecting democracy, and that's all that's important. Instead, it is devolved into the egos of I need to be right and I need my crew to be right. And if you like this person, then we can't kick it. It's fucking high school clique bullshit. And that shit, I'm not going to miss when this shit implodes either. And like I said, with 7 days out to this midterm, with 7 days to show us whether or not we are going to move towards protecting democracy or towards that fucking fantasy Gilead some of these fuckers have. Because I'm telling you, the attack on affirmative action, that's for a reason. The attack on Dobbs is for a reason. They have always seen women acting like we are equal as a threat. They didn't want us voting. They only want us popping out babies, nurturing them until we die. They don't want us to feel strong enough or smart enough to run our own shit. And it's got to stop. And we as humans need to start understanding ourselves better, understanding our mental and physical fluidity and capabilities, and stop trying to box ourselves in what worked for humans from centuries ago, because that shit didn't really work for them either. Person who loves history here. There are so many reasons why we keep tumbling face first in the chaotic, violent times. Because we keep allowing the dumb, ignorant, violent people to control the narrative. And then we keep telling the compassionate, educated people that, oh, you're not strong enough. We don't understand your message. Your smartness makes me feel bad because I couldn't learn at the pace that your school's set up. And I'm not smart enough to realize that maybe I need to structure education better. And that I'm in an age where I can learn new stuff at my old age and pace. I don't want that. I'm too busy being angry at the world. Because life wasn't fair to me. Life isn't fair for anybody. And there are far too many people that would rather make excuses, be angry and apathetic, and lash out instead of working together. I was told, like many Gen Xers, by now we'd be fully in space. Like full on space programs and initiatives. It would be like fucking Star Trek. And where are we right now? Currently, I think there's a Space Force in the making. Which everything we do seems to be geared towards war and violence. I don't like it. No exploratory, no working together, no united federation of fucking planets. Just a dumb rock full of dumb people who can't even fucking get it together on how to take care of one another. And it has got to stop. And it is on us who are tired of people devaluating us because of our skin tone, because of our gender identity, because of who, as grown people, we decide to have a relationship with. Our society has shown that those superficial barriers and gatekeeping and hate are just in the way, but it's not going to stop the tide of progress. It might divert and catch some people who think, this stuff makes me uncomfortable. I'll be safe here on this hill of bigotry. I'm getting sunk down in the muck of it. It's withering me. I'm just going to turn into a muck monster of hate. But the rest of you, I know you want to swim with us towards that better. I see it every day. Our group continues to grow and connect. And that is why shit like Must Buy In Twitter bothers me, because they want to sever those ties. They want to break that connection, but they won't stop us. We will always find ways. We are the MacGyver generation. You don't think that we won't cobble together something? We won't find something and make it something, especially black people. We are industrious fuckers. We've had to be. Especially African Americans. We legitimately are the survivors of things. It's built in our DNA, literally encoded to continue to adapt, continue to survive. That is our purpose. I just want a world that makes it less harsher for us to survive. I'm sick and tired of our durability being wasted on, can we survive this level of stupid bigotry? Can we survive a world that doesn't appreciate our value, our shine, our talents, and our ability? I want our adaptability, our survivability to be put towards actual progressive stuff. Instead of, I'm jealous because you look better, or you can sing better, or you are better than me, and I don't feel right. I feel mediocre about it. And that instead of improving myself, I would rather angrily lash out. Why do we keep allowing that? That is on our community too, because so many of us were taught respectability. Taught, if you just make yourself look a bit nicer, don't worry. It shows bad on them, but you don't have to call out when they call you the N word. You just lower your head and take it. Not anymore. And this is my notice to all of you, because I don't go out much right now because COVID's still a thing. But I'm warning you from the spirit of my black soul. Don't try me, because you will find out in the fuck around and find out files if you try me. I am that crazy black woman. I've seen enough of those videos of black women, especially, who have had enough of bullshit, who have had enough of the disrespect. You don't want to be the one, because you will catch it. And there's a lot of us out there. It really is respect. So many of us was taught, though, to code switch, to just put up with it, and we're done. Because putting up with it allowed these QAnon fucks who legitimately just ingest toxic lies and rage to develop this unnecessary, unnatural hate for everything about us. Coupled with envy and access to weapons, and they're destroying our communities faster than you can blink, and we cannot afford to ignore this anymore. We cannot afford those who think, oh, I'm educated, but I still call you the N-word because I think I'm better than you. We cannot afford to keep allowing this societal tantrums to be our norm. And it is on us to stop giving them a pass. They don't give us a pass. How many of us have heard, oh, what about Chicago? Bitch, I've never been to Chicago. What about it? I'm from New York. You want to ding me with crime stuff? You can hit me with my hometown, and I'll give you facts and statistics. It's actually been pretty low compared to most days. But what you're not going to do is ask me to treat you like you're not in a monolith demographic-wise, when so many of your demographic wholeheartedly do these awful things, yet you expect me to own somebody like Guy when he acts out. Y'all want to monolith certain people because it's easy for you to not think of us as individuals as capable of being warranted by our actions. But you don't want that done to you. And it's a two-way street. If you want the respect that you expect out of us, you've got to give it at this point. And if you want to fight, keep fucking around with black people, because I don't think a lot of you understand the level of tired that we're at. And it's not a worn out tire. It's you're on that last frayed nerve, and you're about to get your ass beat because you done pissed off the wrong mama. I don't think people understand this, but they're finding out as they mosey their asses onto your property to leave notes or whatnot. Now, this hasn't happened to me, thank goodness, because most people know, don't fuck with her. She's quiet. The quiet ones are the ones you really need to leave the fuck alone. But some people, they try it. They think, oh, I see black skin. Let me try to assert my dominance. I seen that video of that old white man that I don't even understand that. I have never in my life decided I'm going to patrol my neighborhood, minding other people's business. I've never lived that life. Even as if I wasn't an introvert, I cannot understand being like that. And that old white man thought, I see black people, I'm going to fuck with them. And at the end of the video, he was bleeding. Y'all are going to stop messing with us. Y'all are going to find out if you don't. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. Exactly. Mind the business that pays you. That is a perfect saying. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. I am so glad to be back. I will definitely be back on Friday for another Bonnet Chronicles. I just really needed to rest, y'all. The fatigue has been off the chain with everything we're trying to get going with the move and stuff too. I've just been torn with getting creative work done, keeping the home front down, and then working on our future, where we're going to live. So it's just been a really tiring time, but I definitely want to keep on schedule. I'm definitely going to be back on Friday because I want to get as much out there before the midterm elections. I want to keep people focused because it is so important. And it's like, I don't even feel nervous anymore. My brain is just like, it is what it is. I hope I don't have to develop a grab my family and exit strategy. But I'm that kind of person. If y'all want to fuck over our country, I'm getting out. I don't want to leave my nation. I don't want to start over new, but I will if you decide that the GOP is a much better, and I can't even use the word leader. If you're going to throw our country into the garbage bin by electing Republicans to run your state into the ground, why should I stay here and watch it implode? So hopefully I'm wrong and y'all prove me wholeheartedly wrong. Hopefully your little cutesy Rovember comes to fruition. But if it doesn't, I'm going to make sure my family's all right because that is my top priority more than anything else. But hopefully it is. Thank you. I worry though. I know that this is my content and I know that I really love talking to you guys, but I'm also getting up there in age and I have to pay attention to those health cues. And when your body says no, you got to listen. So I am just grateful that I can take time away, rest, and then come back. So I'm just appreciative of it. But ladies, I will see you Friday night. I appreciate y'all sitting in, and I will see everybody else throughout the week. I am always on Twitter, as y'all know, even if it's just in lurk mode. Thank you to everybody who got the book. I've seen so many amazing pictures. People have been tweeting and DMing me. I really appreciate all of you. But I am going to wrap this up, go make some dinner, and I will see you all Friday night.